Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Lauren, Geneva, let's test your audio. Can you talk?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can't hear you yet.
Oh.
This is perfect, because this is what happens. And Jenny, can you talk?
Can you hear me now?
I can't.
Not yet, okay.
So I think it's raised speakers.
Yes, so Ray, make sure your sound is turned on and you.
All right, Jenny, I see,
You can
I
hear
know.
us.
I got it. All right,
Oh.
all right, so let's talk about all the things that just went wrong. So first of all, hi, I'm Ray Levy. I'm Deputy Executive Director of the MAA, and I'm so delighted that in 12 hours, we have pulled together, a little more than 12 hours, this first meeting of folks who want to talk about online teaching. And I'm here as a convener. So my goal is to help people speak up the ways they want to. So everybody should be in Zoom. We are in a version of Zoom that is not the one I usually use. So usually I'm in Zoom in a meeting with maybe 5 or 6 people. This is a webinar version of Zoom that takes 100 people. And then there are special licenses for Zoom that can take over 100 people. I don't have automatic closed captioning turned on because I'm still learning about that, but my understanding is that there are some capacities in Zoom for accessibility, and I hope that in some of these very soon meetings, we will explore some of those options as well. And we're recording, so everyone, this is a space to be kind to each other, to learn together, and just to help each other with a very unusual circumstance of many people all at once trying to figure out how to engage in online learning. I do have a master's in educational media and instructional design, so that's my background that leads me to have some degree of expertise, but for today, I'm mostly your convener. Geneva is here as the first person pretty much. If I miss someone else who also stepped up to be a co-facilitator.
There was one, Stacey, but I think she could only make it for a short time or something.
Okay, so when Stacey gets here, and Jenny Quinn, our president, are you president-elect or president now of MAA? Where are we now, now in the cycle? We are so excited that you're here to participate with us as well. And Jenny has a lot of experience as well with online teaching. So let me, a few.
I am president-elect, but it looks like Carol is here too. I'm assuming that's Carol Schumacher, and she says she can't figure out how to unmute her mic.
That's correct. Nobody can unmute their mic because we have 29 attendees. And so one thing I wanted to learn how to do is when you have a large number of students, how to have them raise their hands. So I do see Carol raising her hand. So I am going to hit allow to talk and see what happens. So when I hit allow to talk, we see Carol.
It sounded like I could unmute my mic when you did that. And so I can say things to you. Great, cool. I will now lower my hand and you can mute me again.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you. Geneva, I would love you to jump right in and get us started with something.
Okay, I'm gonna show you what not to do, just like we did before. One thing not to do that I have done before in webinars is I like to drink Diet Coke because it has caffeine in it. However, sometimes around the house, I put it in a wine glass, and then of course it looks like I'm drinking while I'm teaching, but I'm not. So I just want, and also I think that my students would have some kind of GoFundMe page or something for me to take down my tree eventually. But okay, the rest of my house is a complete disaster, but you can only see me. So I think finding a space to teach from home, I know some of you might not have to teach from home. You maybe can teach from the office, but I'm at home. And right when I signed on, the dog barked at the delivery man, you know, so there's, I kind of believe that we need to maintain like humanness, like, hey, I'm a human and I'm still here and here's my face. This, because I did tell my students this morning that we were thinking about doing this online transfer, and some of them got anxious and nervous and visibly so. They're like, what? And it kind of surprised me. I thought that the students would just be like, yeah, I can do it from home, but they actually expressed the anxiety. And okay, so I think about how you can show your face and make them feel comfortable in that first space, like whether it's a Christmas tree or like, here's my dog. I mean, I don't know what would be like, but I really had to just say to some students, look, we're going to be fine. You're in good hands. We're going to be fine. You'll really like it. I promise. Like, just trust me on this. And then also the starting moments of teaching online, I've heard from people that like, there's a little setup time, you know, when class is supposed to start on time, instead of just walking in and turning on the lights and going, what does setup look like? Sometimes there's if you have a starter activity, I'm going to paste something that I made for us in the chat box that you can see. It's a link. If you go there, then you will see a Google slide. And I'm going to share my screen. So we're all going to see the same Google slide. So let's see, I'm sharing my screen. It takes me a minute. Did that work, guys?
Yeah.
I see one person has signed on. So this is something that I found online called Your Own Espace, I think, and I've used this strategy before, but I never gave it a name. It's where you pick one of these boxes, pick a cell and answer the prompt. So what I've created for us, and you could use this or whatever. So there's a template in the background where those boxes can't be moved around, but what can be edited is the text. So I'm thinking, if I'm lecturing, I don't want to prepare maybe a lot of extra stuff
Here's interesting regular Zoom. When you start using the chat window and you're a panelist, which is what you'll be as a professor, it will start you out only chatting to the other panelists, because I think they're anticipating as panelists, you may want to have informal chat before things start. And so in order to change it, it should say two. And so Geneva, you should change yours to all panelists and attendees.
Yeah, somebody fixed it for me, I guess, because everybody got here. But yeah, I know.
Actually, I pasted it in myself, but you can change yours as well. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
so now we're good. Thank you. I love this.
And if I were teaching and I knew what 35 students or 30 students were supposed to be here, I could put in the template in really small font their names so that they knew which space is theirs, and I know if they're engaging or not. But since we didn't know who was coming or how many, this is just grab a cell and type it in. But I think for my class, I'm gonna have this template, and I could use the same template over and over again, just change the question at the top. Mm-hmm. And then, so one of the research articles that I posted on that Word document or the Google Doc was one where a researcher had interviewed professors or instructors who had taught both ways. They had taught it online and they had taught a course face-to-face. And they tried to elicit all the differences, like how did it feel different? And one of the comments was that when you're face-to-face, you feel like the students are already tuned in because they're in front of you. And you just try not to get them or get them to not tune out, but keep their attention. But then when you're teaching online, and I think it's the part of it's teacher perception. You have the perception that they're not even tuned in yet. You've got to get them to tune in somehow, get them to plug in. And I think that might just be the way we're thinking about it because we can't see those eyes. Like right now, all I see Ray and I see Jenny dot, and I see Ray is nodding and stuff like this, right? But I don't see the face of Rick. I don't see the face of understanding with my students that I would normally see. That doesn't mean you're not looking at me, That doesn't mean you're not listening and having questions and engaging. So it might just be teacher perception. And so we might have to remind ourselves sometimes, like, they're really there. They're really out there. And this is a way to kind of do that. We can see what you want to talk about too.
Yeah. There are also 2 questions in the question and answer window. One of them said, how might a Facebook page with live streaming be used? And so if there's somebody who might want to address that, maybe you can put that in the chat window. And maybe Jenny, if you're up for it, if you can sort of monitor the chat window and unmute yourself if you feel like there's something that we should attend to in the chat window, that would be really helpful. And then Jenny asked a second question, do you use a hardwire connection to your router, or is Wi-Fi strong enough? And I use Wi-Fi at work. How about you?
I use Wi-Fi at home, and I use a hardwire at work. But
I think this is an issue with urban versus rural, because I do, I have a kid that lives about 10 miles outside Chapel Hill, and she has terrible internet access, even that close to a university. So I think you could have issues with students going home to rural areas and not really having the bandwidth to do things that require more internet usage. So I think we should all pay attention to that and communicate with our institutions about that if we know students are having issues.
yeah. Whoops, I'm probably covering up the thing with all these. Wait, hang on. So this is a problem with teaching, is that there are so many things open. And like you noticed, there were questions coming in and I didn't know it. And then you have to move things around. So you just get better at that, but I'm not better at it anyway. So now I can actually see. But I think your students like get patient. They're patient with you, I guess, when you're moving things around. And I like to talk through it. Like, now I'm going to share my screen. Click, click, click. So they just filling the silence.
This is Carol. Once we got to this link, I had trouble figuring out how to get back to your face or even to the raise hand screen, because it kind of all went away. So
what happens, Carol, when you wiggle your mouse at the bottom of your screen?
okay.
You get anything back?
I didn't before. I did finally get it back because I was able to raise my hand, but I'm not exactly sure how.
Right. I'm looking at that too. How do I get?
Well, once I got into your teaching tool, I was being able to add my comment and everything, but I could not find you. And I did something that brought you back, but I'm not sure what.
Okay, maybe if I hit stop share, then you won't see my screen anymore, right?
Okay, so yeah, so right, I'm not seeing but now I'm not seeing that anymore. So that seems, yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah, anyway, you can take me off now.
Okay.
This is Jenny. And what happens when you share a screen often is you only get the box of the person talking in the corner, and you can actually minimize that box while you're watching, because sometimes it's over top of the screen you're looking at, and you may want it back to see the face. So it's possible that Carol minimized your face. It's hard to tell from a distance though.
Yeah.
And then Quinnan Lynn said, click on exit full screen. Maybe that was what we did. Full screen. Yeah, we'll almost have to replicate it and try. Now, notice in this format, whatever this is, you see all 3 of us, I guess. And when I'm talking, my box is lit up and somebody else say something.
Hello, hello, hello.
See, her box is lit up. They're different views also. This is gallery view. I don't know if I'm actually changing it for what you see. Did it just change when I changed that for you?
No, everybody has control over their own. So they get to pick whether they're in gallery view or speaker view.
So that's something everybody could do, is try to go to the, for me, it's in the upper right-hand corner of my window. And right now it says speaker view, but it might say gallery view. And it looks like it has the movie, you know, take 1, take 2 kind of thing. And if you click on it, you should get a gallery view where you have the person who is lit up, which interestingly is Jenny, while I'm talking right now, shows up big and everybody else shows up small.
So if I'm on gallery view, no, speaker view, I don't know which one is which, but if I'm on the one where one person is bigger than everybody else, I guess that would be speaker view.
Yeah.
Might be an appropriate one for me to use this because the whiteboard font. So some people do not have, that's what we're working on at our school. We don't have doc cams for all of our graduate students and everybody who teaches the class. So we're thinking, well, could they use whiteboards? Would it be readable? You'd have to maybe write large, and you'd have to make sure that you're in the large view, not the gallery, but the speaker view. So you'd have to control it. You have to tell your students.
Yeah, and a good tip is that wider markers are more visible. So even if you write bigger, if you have a skinny marker, it isn't as visible at a distance as a wide marker.
Yeah, because I can't see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see what I just wrote in the camera.
Yeah, and we've got your lights from your room. And see, I wanted to show you guys that I have a situation here where I have a window behind me. So ordinarily this would make your face be very dark because it's picking up the light from the window and shadowing your face. I'm lucky here that it's not too bad.
However, here's a better plan. If you can snag a dot cam, then I've got one here, and then you don't have to see the face or do this. You can write and draw pictures. And I got this document camera 4 years ago for $90 on eBay because they upgrade different schools and then replace their equipment. And I shared my screen, and so the document camera, the light isn't even on. Now it is, but I think a lot of you would probably enjoy just using the document camera and not having used if you had a document camera.
All right, and we have 2 participants raising their hands. So here we've got Carol, and it says 2, but I'm only seeing 1. I see now. One of the nice things it does is it does bring up everybody raising their hand to the top of the list. So I'm gonna allow Louisa to talk. Hi.
Hi, thank you for letting me talk. I just wanted to say that I'm not sure where we're putting the comments because I did put some questions that weren't being looked at, but I wanted to say about the document camera that I've used the iPad tablet connected, and then if you share that screen, then you can actually write on your tablet. If you don't have I don't have a document camera, so I plan to use my tablet if I have to teach online.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Were there other questions you wanted to ask or comments you wanted to make?
I was asking if because I've never used Zoom, if the universities have to have a license for us to be able to use it, for the students to be able to use it.
Is there somebody who can address that?
I think there's a free version, but I'm not sure.
This is Jenny.
Yeah.
Yes. So there is a free version of Zoom. You are limited to a 40-minute duration on your free version. And then I think you still have 100 participants that can use it in that 40-minute duration. However, if they are willing to upgrade, I know the University of Washington went ahead and for $200,000 made every student and every faculty member a professional Zoom user. And then you can screencast for 24 hours.
So
$100,000.
the 40 minutes means at a time or total?
At a time, so you can log out and log back in.
Yeah, because the class is longer than 40 minutes.
Yeah, or if you have a graduate student do it too or something, it might.
Each time you have to generate a new meeting ID, which is a pain in the neck. So you have to send out a new meeting ID to everyone in your room.
Okay.
And then just a comment on that as well. That only applies to 3 or more people. So if you're having a one-on-one, there's no time limit either, and on the free version.
Hmm.
Thanks. Do you want to introduce yourself? Is that Stacey?
Sorry, yeah, this is Stacey, and I'm still in office hours, so I just popped in really quick. I'm listening and then muting myself so I can talk to your student.
Terrific. All right. Could anyone address the question, how might a Facebook page with live streaming be used?
I can kind of answer that
Okay.
as well.
Great.
So I've tried live streaming on Facebook, not for academic purposes, but for other ones. And they've cracked down on what programs, like they won't allow any third-party programs to play video in the news feed or group feed. They'll only provide links. So like a YouTube video won't play, you link to it, you click on it and it will play. So there's no like live videos unless it's recorded with the Facebook software itself. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you can't go live on YouTube and have it play on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to do a demonstration or something with an animation, that could be problematic. Or if you wanted to show a video to motivate something, that would be hard.
Yeah, so it would just be, everything would be an external click. It wouldn't play automatically. And then the other thing is that the Facebook software itself, and I don't know if it was just, like I was doing basically kind of like this. I was doing one-on-one like Q&A sessions and having people comment. The technology was really bad. Like it would drop people and it would, or be really blurry, or like it wasn't a very well-rounded software.
I see somebody suggested a writing pad. You think about a Wacom type of or bamboo device that says you're about $30. I think I bought some for my kids one year for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
See, so that's who said that? Q1 Lynn? Lynn, do you have more information about what item you would actually endorse that's a writing pad that's a cheaper version? Thinking about my graduate students.
I can answer Carol's question real quick.
Okay.
Or Carol, I use Screencast-O-Matic, and so you can just change the window, but I know WebEx, I think Zoom does it too, that you can like share a window. So you can just say like, choose this application and cast that.
Yeah, I
that was the right.
About how did I get my document camera shared? So when you, and I wish we could show everybody what we can see, but since we're presenters, you don't see my screen. My presenter screen, I'm sure you can see it on a video somewhere. You look at the bottom and there's this big green button that says share. It's to share my screen, and we can make you presenters if you wanted to share something. Like if you wanted to share that iPad and how the iPad looks. But I hit the share button and then I choose the window that has my document camera connected. So my document camera is old fashioned and it plugs in through a USB into my computer, and then there's a window on my computer that shows what's on my screen. So it's just like sharing a website or something.
Yeah. And then alternatively, just my university has WebEx instead of Zoom subscription. And so I use the Wacom tablet to write on the like fake whiteboard in WebEx. And then, I mean, that's how we share things, I guess. Or so I write on a PowerPoint using Microsoft Ink and the Wacom tablet.
The Wacom tablet, and that works for you?
I have a really old version. I don't know if the new ones are different or not, but yeah, it seems to work just fine.
Okay.
I have a question about the Zoom whiteboard. Did we already cover that?
I did see, and I can share because I still have it pulled up. Somebody suggested this website. Whoops.
Zoom does have a whiteboard though, and you can hand off the pen to different students so they can show their work, which is kind of nice.
Really?
WebEx does not have that ability, but Zoom does.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, how do you enable it? Because I'm not seeing it as an option, but it would be fun to try.
It's been a couple semesters since I've used it, and I'm not a presenter, so I don't have it on my phone screen right now.
We can make you a presenter.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
And
this
if I
is
can
Jenny.
remember, this is Stacey Nori.
Hi, Stacey. This is Jenny, and I think the experience in a webinar is very different than the experience in a meeting. I have a lot fewer controls. I don't even think I am a panelist, or maybe I'm a presenter but not a panelist, but I'm not seeing a lot of things, including the question that Kim asked about where's the speaker or versus gallery view. I don't see a speaker or gallery view button on my screen right here. And I don't see the whiteboard, which is something that's usually down at the bottom, and I can't share. So there's tons of things.
Jenny, I'm going to promote you to panelist and then tell me what you can see.
But look
Yeah,
what
so I have it. So here's my whiteboard. I hit share whiteboard. And then if I click the pen, like I can write something, I don't know what I was writing, hi. And then you can give it to different people, I know. Let me try and remember how to do that. I need to go to the participant list, I think.
Okay.
Anyone
now,
mind
Sheena,
trying? Who wants to have the pen handed to them?
Yeah, so with the Zoom whiteboard, the controls on the top where the green screen is, where you go to the whiteboard, there should be something that says annotate. And then you can kind of give access to annotate and take access away. For other people who may have used it, I can use it for a lot of stuff. It's great to draw, it's great to write. But, if I'm kind of sketching something, if I'm sketching a graph on Desmos, is there any way, if anyone has used it, to kind of take a snapshot of that graph and post it to whiteboard? Because I can't seem to be able to do that.
Thank you for the question, and we'll crowdsource the answer.
Awesome, thanks.
And if not here, if you could put it in the Google Doc that we have.
I will do that.
Shared. I will share that again, because I've learned also that in some of these formats, whatever's in the chat window, you only see it after you come into class. So if you come in late, you may not see all the chats that happened before you arrive.
I see.
I feel like I'm making a mess. I have so many windows open, but I figured out how to take the pen from Stacey and do red circular things.
Tell us how you did that. How did you do it? Do you remember?
So there was a green bar at the top, and I happened to notice it at the moment that somebody said there's a green bar at the top, and you pull it down and there was the word annotate, and there it was, and it said annotate.
Yeah, and on mobile, there was not that green bar, just FYI. I had like a pen and an eraser, and that was it. There wasn't any colors or other options. So the phone version might be more restrictive.
So Jenny asked, how many people are attending? We have 39 participants.
When we did the activity at the beginning, and we said, what's your biggest concern? A few that came up often. One was giving exams, and one was collaborative learning, group work. So what we could do, since we have 39 participants, is we could try breakout sessions.
Let's do it.
People have.
Sorry, what'd you say?
We do
My
that.
Wi-Fi is being weird. Department said, basically.
So I am looking for an option for breakout sessions.
It was there, but now it's not. Before.
Okay.
It's usually at the bottom, right here next to more.
Okay. I see. So the options I have are live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, live on YouTube, and invite.
So we can't try breakout sessions in this session. What we could do is tomorrow, I mean, in my Zoom session, and I haven't, well, no. I was thinking maybe I could share my screen and open up my Zoom Pro just so you can see what breakout sessions look like. But that's
true. This is Zoom webinar. This is Zoom webinar, and I think the one with breakout sessions is the one other upgrade from here that this is not. I think you're correct.
So I could show you that. And like I said, that would be Zoom within a Zoom, and we might break it.
Let's try it. Let's try it.
Let's see what
We're
happens.
here to break things and then try to unbreak them.
But if you show us your Zoom within the Zoom, we won't have anybody populating that meeting. So you won't have anyone to put into breakout rooms.
I can still show where the button is, you know, I guess, and what the options look like. Because I did
It's a good point, Jenny.
earlier today. I did that just to see, like, making sure, like, where's the breakout rooms? Okay. Now I wonder, like I said, when I click this, it might do something strange because it knows I'm already in a meeting. Let me in. Return to meeting. Yeah, it might.
It won't let you sign in with the same ID to more than one meeting.
That's what's happening. Okay, so that's not going to be helpful. Normally, at the bottom of the screen, there's a breakout button, and it'll ask you how many people you want in each group, and you can either manually assign them to groups, or you can hit random and it'll put them in groups. What I've found by talking to people, because I've had to decide, do I want them to be in pre-assigned groups or random groups? Random groups is much easier for you as a teacher because if you pre-assign them groups every time, which I love to do, I love to have my business majors together and my education majors together and in a service course, you know, where they can talk about their major. I'm not going to be able to do that effectively unless I spend about 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of class sorting their names and dropping and adding them into their groups that I want them in, which I might be able to do while they're working on their starter activity or something. But I've got to weigh that. I'm probably just going to hit randomly assigned to groups. So they'll be in different randomly assigned groups every time we meet and do collaborative learning during class.
Does anybody who is not currently a panelist want to have the experience of being a panelist, sharing their screen? Make sure we cannot read your email because this is being recorded and people will see it later.
Can I do that?
Go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah.
Drink wine.
And drink your Diet Coke wine. Yeah, somebody asked if they could do it. And I'm seeing some more Q&A. So is anyone raising their hand to, I don't see anyone raising your hand to share your screen, but I did make it so that all the panelists can share if they need to.
So about giving tests, I'm going to share my plan and what I think and have found out and have decided to kind of do different ways. And then I think it would be great to hear from other people. So for my class, who's normally used to a 50-minute in-class test this semester, I'm going to take future tests if we do go to about doing, of course. Take one of their unit tests and break it up into 2 or 1. So one day I can have an online multiple choice portion, and then another day I can have a paper version. So I'll split it up into 2 days, and there are a few reasons why I'm going to split it up into 2 days. One is so that I can have an online portion and a paper version, so I can assess in 2 different ways. But then another reason is because there's some setup time. So for a 50-minute class, I might want to spend 10 minutes setting up, maybe not that long, but this is what I mean by setting up. There are lockdown browsers that you want them to make sure that they're using first. So there might be 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning. But then also, if they're doing a paper version of the test, what I've done in the past is I've required them to have 2 different devices. One device to record them from one angle while they're working, and another device from another angle. So each person would have 2 little squares on the computer screen for me to watch. That way I can tell that there's not somebody standing in the corner giving them answers, but they're doing it themselves. Also, I have a protocol where they have to show everything they're like, this is, so there's about 5 or 10 minutes where they take their phone and show the room, and they show that, like, this is on my table, it's my water bottle. Now it's a water bottle, not a wine glass. And this is my, or I have blank paper. And then if you have blank paper on their table and you don't want them to use their notes, then you want them to show, look, I have blank paper I'm writing at, and they actually show it to them. So if you want to be that secure about their setup, then you're going to need 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of class to ask them to do that. I see a hand.
That's me. Sorry. I came into the adjunct room. They had comments to add. So they said apparently Zoom has more features free this week in response to the fact that colleges are needing them. So they're trying not to be greedy. So they're allowing you to get more features from the subscriptions, and Google as well, like Google Classroom and stuff are offering more things for free.
Yeah.
So it's strange because they say that they've turned the 40-minute restriction off. However, some of the people in my organization can kind of go an hour, and after 40 minutes, there's a little pop-up that comes up that says, this is a gift for you, et cetera, and then it just lets them go on. But it doesn't for mine. So 40 minutes in and it'll just disconnect. So it's strange. I don't know what the setting could be, but it's not kind of across the board. It may just be, the kind of traffic that they're facing.
One time it did that to me, and there was a technical issue. I had to ask OIT at my school, and it was that I was logging in with a slightly different something, different suffix. So I used a different UTK instead of Tennessee or something like that, and it didn't. So I used this to log in instead of this, and so it was not picking up on the the pro version. But that would be great if they could extend it.
There's a question on our Google Doc that is, how should we think about strategizing for when the system goes down? So I think you can assume that technology will work sometimes and it won't work other times. So what sorts of backup plans have people put into place for the power going out, or other unforeseen circumstances that might be very disruptive in an online class?
Like one is happening right now because they said that I'm choppy. It's probably my home Wi-Fi.
I got disconnected once, like just about 20 minutes ago. I had to kind of join back in. So yeah.
Do you think that do people have sort of I remember in the olden days of distance learning, when everything went down all the time, they always sort of had a lesson in the pocket. The students knew, right? It was like, when it goes down, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to this document and it's going to tell you what to do, or they already have the document. So, each week there's some practice things, and they know that these are the things that they should practice if the classroom isn't happening.
One thing I do during tests, and maybe this could be used during tests, I'll have them pull up a blank Google document that we all share, just so I can communicate in the event that Zoom goes down. I can type in on the Google Doc, I can't see you, turn it back on, and so when they look up from their test, they'll realize that they need to log back in, because I wouldn't want them taking their test and me not watching for them. They need to log back in immediately. Google Doc just blank for communication. My internet connection is unstable. So Ray, could you hear what I just said? Okay. Maybe there could be a Google Doc every class period, date, and then just there, nothing, like an announcements page.
Another person asked, how do you deal with your pets or your family members, or for us, we had jackhammers one day outside that were fairly inescapable. How do you, handle those things? So even in the case of headsets, sometimes they pick up a lot of external noise and sometimes they don't. So what tips do people have for reducing distractions when they're teaching online?
I posed that question. I'm in life now where I have a 10-year-old, but I can't imagine if they were little kids. I used to have a closet that I would go into when I had little ones, a closet with a locking door. But even then, you have to sneak into the closet, because if they see that your mom went in the closet, so I thought somebody else in the world might benefit from the magic answers that I don't have.
So someone's got a question about Google Classroom. I don't know if you guys have used it. We use it. It's nothing like Zoom in the sense that, you know, there's no sharing, there's no kind of video, etc. It's we've used it, at least I've used it in a limited sense, just to kind of schedule stuff, post assignments, post grades, you know, YouTube video links, things like that. More of a organizational thing. Not really, I've never used it as a teaching tool to kind of have an interactive class or something like that. There may be a lot of functionality to it that, you know, I'm not aware of anyone else here who's used Google Classroom for kind of actually teaching as opposed to just kind of an organization point of view.
Are you able to open it up and share it with us, Nasheen? If it's not easy to do, just don't worry about it. Oh, you muted yourself.
And so, some people commented about the family thing, that people might just have to be understanding. Students might be in those situations as well. Muting their mics helps. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so tell us what we're looking at. Oh, and you might still be muted. I'm not sure.
Yes.
See, I'm going to unmute you. Oops. You're trying to unmute yourself.
There you go. Yeah, I was trying to find the thing. I couldn't find it. I couldn't toggle back and forth between the 15 million windows I've got. All right. So these are my classes. I've got 4 classes. This is how we name them. So if I go to one of them here, so this has been a 2-year class. The rest are just 1 year, which is why they named this one is named like that.
And be careful that we can't see any student data. I just wanted to be careful about.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and show. So there's a stream, which every time you kind of hit something, it kind of goes in there. So, you know, here's all the various things that I've done. But what kind of is nice in terms of the organizational structure is the classwork tab, where, you know, there's some class material that you can put up. So I've got some old exams, some, you know, stats, past paper questions. And then we're at review time. My syllabus content is actually finished. So all I'm doing is review, which makes it a lot easier, you know, as opposed to having to teach something new. Here's the topics that I've done. So here's, if you go here, this is kind of how I did it. This is what I did on the 29th of Jan, 30th of Jan, so on and so forth. Then these are the assignments. There were 2 classworks, 2 quizzes. One was announced, one was not. It's got the date there, etc. And it's, you know, it's some kind of similar for every single kind of topic that I've done here. The grade sheet is really nice, but I'm going to go ahead and go back from there because it shows the names as well. But every student's grades for everything that's graded, they're there. You can assign a rubric to it. And it's nice in that sense. But, you know, you can see it's just kind of keeping track of things and grading and things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I use Canvas, but then we used to have Blackboard, and then I've done Moodle before. So there are a lot of different LMSs.
LMS, Learning Management System.
I think, yeah. And how I organize my stuff is similar, and I think that might help in those times when technology goes down, is I have everything chronologically ordered. So my students know, oh, today's March 11th. I go to March 11th. Here's the notes, here's the slides, here's the in-class questions. And they know if things were to go out, I could email them, here's your password for the day. Sorry, we got cut off. let me know if you needed anything. Please email me. And we could, you know, we would survive. As far as personally, I'm not worried about my little 50-minute session. Like, I think that they'd be okay, and we'd be okay because my students are well trained in that. And, you know, to go to the date, like, this is where our stuff is for the day.
Could you go back to the, could you share the Google grid that you had before? Because I'm realizing there may be some topics in there that we haven't hit on. And since people took the time to put them in there, I thought we could use our last 15 minutes sort of running through those topics and just soliciting any comments. Feel free, people, to
there it is.
comments in the chat window. Let's see.
Sorry, this is Stacey. I gotta go to class. So I thank you
so
for
much.
the invite
Bye.
and everything else. It was very helpful. Bye.
So there was a question. This is Jenny. There was a question where someone asked about how do students share their work when they're in the breakout rooms. And I actually did this on Monday with my class. The students can share screens as we can share screens. I have one student who works on a tablet, and she shares her tablet screen within her group. And then she's sort of like the recorder of the group. Other students write on pieces of paper and then hold it up to the camera, and then they talk about what they see. So low tech works in this high tech world. And it works. I was surprised at how easily it worked. Some rooms were more vocal than others. I kept going in and out of different rooms as they were working, but that's true when you break them up into groups in the classroom as well. Yeah, there you go.
I thought, are we supposed to write down Gallipro? What is this?
This is a tool. This is a accessibility tool. This is how one of our local theaters does captioning. And so we've been looking into conferences and how we can make them more deaf and hard of hearing accessible, and just accessible in general. So we've been looking into both sign language interpretation and real-time captioning, and thinking about the difference between, and it's something to think about here too, in terms of if you are making videos or things like that ahead of time, considering making sure that your fonts are big enough that people can really see them, even though maybe people have this ability to make them bigger or smaller. But like Geneva was showing us, if it's back here on a whiteboard and it's in really thin, you can blow it up all you want, but it's just gonna get fuzzy. So really thinking about stuff.
I thought of something else that I remember now from a course I taught, that stream of consciousness, not related, but it was giving exams. It was one of the written documents, and I had these teachers, and they were deriving the quadratic formula. That was their task, but they had to do it on blank paper, not from notes, on blank paper. And then at the end, I actually, just to make sure that they had just done that problem and didn't just slide in a piece of paper with it on there because they knew it was going to be on the test, I gave them a password at the end. It was like, and your password is frog. So it's like, in the upper left-hand corner, write the word frog, then take a picture with your phone and email it to me. And that worked perfectly. So I don't know, something kind of silly like that. But then I knew it wasn't an image that they had pulled off their phone, or it wasn't a previous image, you know. So those weird little things to kind of verify that that student is actually the student doing the work on a test is just be creative, I guess.
All right, we are 10 minutes to the hour, so I wanted to make sure we got any last questions from folks who are not presenting. If anybody wants to take over as presenter, I'm going to check the Q&A. And Jenny, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about accessibility issues. If you have Zoom Pro and you record to the cloud, Zoom will do an audio transcription. It takes it about an hour, and it shows up next to your video. It's not a video, it's a recording. There are no videos involved here. So it shows up next to your recording, and that actually becomes the the navigation tool. So you can zoom through the audio transcript and click on a point in it, and it moves your video to that point, which is very handy. Now, it's not great at transcribing mathematics. So I do go through and I read it, I scan it really fast. And I look for the obvious mistakes, like X is in S, as in X is an element in the set S, came out as X is an ass. So
Not
I don't, yeah.
Does it work with Southern accents?
No.
So Jenny, if you had a video of a certain length, can you say for a video of a certain length, it took me about this long to do that check and fix?
I take really about 15 minutes with each video before I link it to the class. And in that time, I chop off. It's real easy to edit the beginning and the ending of a video. You just move where you start playing from, and you move where you want playing to end. So you're not having to do any serious editing, but you're getting rid of that, oh, is your microphone working? No, your microphone's not working stuff. And then as I'm doing that, trying to find the right points, I sort of just mentally scan what's going through, and if something really catches my eye, I fix it. It's very easy to fix. If I miss something, I have a discussion board in my class Canvas site where I give extra credit points for people pointing out really bad translations or transcription errors. And then it's something that I know I need to go back through and correct later.
Great, thank you.
Kearney says, can I share things from 2 different screens?
I was looking at that too.
And then iPad?
The answer is yes, only one screen shows at the same time. There is an option down by the video icon that says allow multiple shares. You may need to be on 2 different accounts, or you may need one of those screens to be, what's the right word? Anonymously signed in rather than your name signed in. Because I found it doesn't allow me as Jennifer Quinn signed in on 2 devices to share at the same time. But Jennifer Quinn and my student can both share. And then in the view options, you can flip between which screen you're seeing.
Great.
How did you set up this meeting? I want to point out something on this document, which is the Google Doc that Ray set up. There's some tips down here. If you've never set up a Zoom meeting, oh, Jenny, this is yours.
Yes.
Yeah. I made it a little shorter, but I saw it on the MAA Connect. And so that reminded me of some of these that you compiled from your colleagues. You want to mute participants. So there's certain setup, right? You want to talk about which one of these?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I actually on MAA Connect also linked just how do you do it, step by step, going through Zoom to create a recurring meeting.
If I didn't know if that was something you could embed here or link here, or if it had to, you know.
No, so it's a link to a Zoom recording, or it's a link to a YouTube. I did it 2 different ways because different people have different methods. So if you don't have Zoom, there are other ways to record, and you can save things to YouTube and make it private and just provide the links. So we can put the links in here.
And I just wanted to mention the MAA Connect is an online platform that we have recently launched to our members, although there's a fair number of things that you can access on there. You can set up a login, or if you already have an MAA login, you can log in with your MAA account and see even more things. And we're hoping that's going to be a great way for people to connect. So we plan to take this recording and make it available there. We'll have, it has a library feature, so we'll be able to put more things on MAA Connect for people to use. And I think for now, we've decided, if this is still correct, that we'll share to all members. So the All Members Digest should be showing people suggestions about what to do, since this is a pretty ubiquitous topic right now. So I wanted to close for the hour so that we close on time, but I just want to say thank you, Geneva and Jenny and Nasheen, for contributing, and Stacey and Louisa, especially being willing with all of us to be a little vulnerable. And in case you think that it's mostly women that teach mathematics in the United States, maybe at the undergraduate level, this webinar or sharing is brought to you by Math Mamas on Facebook, which is where this got born last night. So all of you who are out there watching, if we do some more of these, everyone is welcome in this space who needs help with these kinds of things. And I especially appreciate the Math Mamas who are willing to step up and make this happen in under 24 hours and have such a great time.